Today we're going to analyze Popó versus Whindersson Nunes at Fight Music Show 8, guys. It's time for the rematch. A matchup that draws attention even from people who don't follow our sport every day. The big question is, has Whindersson really improved, or is Popó still light years ahead of him? The fight between Popó and Whindersson is awesome. I think it's awesome because Anderson Whindersson went through some tough times mentally, and he knows that focusing on a fight camp can help his mental state. And we know that this fight can't be a completely real fight, right, man? Popó has to hold himself back. And Whindersson, on the other hand, has improved a lot. It's been a long time since the first one. How long has it been since the first fight? 4 years, almost 5 years already. The kid kept training, fought in several other events. It's going to be a slightly bigger fight. What's hard for Popó is that it's a fight Whindersson wants to fight. And what I said about Bam Bam is that he didn't try to fight against Popó, man. What a fight, right? What a fight. There was no fight. He simply came out in public afterwards and even laughed at us, saying he made money and just played the part to make money. Seems like nonsense. Hey, what's that, man? Man, we know that Popó went there to get him, you know? Popó wasn't there to play around. The guy didn't even throw a single punch, bro. Yeah, now this one with Nanuka, many will say it was a cheap shot, but the referee, man, took too long to stop it, you know? In the heat of the fight, you just do that, you know? But the referee, that's when he has to step in, okay? Look, right there. Stop the fight. He should have stopped it right there already. He already turned his head, lost his defensive posture, start the count. Don't wait for the fighter to hit Nanuka. The referee is the one responsible for the athlete's physical safety. And there, he didn't step in to protect the athlete's physical integrity, you know? Popó acted correctly as an athlete, man. That's it. Hitting Nanuka isn't cool. It's illegal. But in this case, it was Bam Bam who turned his back. Man, this fight definitely had a clause in the contract to limit how much contact Popó could make. Because as a 4-time world champion, we know Popó's boxing power is way above the level of any athlete who steps into fight music against him, and Whindersson is a talented guy. And he showed a lot of fighting spirit because he took some jabs, man. People can even see that Popó gave up on his right hand and controlled Whindersson more with the jab, you know? So he built the fight around his jab. He kept jabbing. Let's take a look here and analyze. That's it. What I remember from their fight was that, right? Popó didn't go into finish. He went into jab. He jabbed Indio, and Whindersson was the same, man. Soft water keeps hitting hard stone until it ruins Whindersson's whole face, right?
Man, it had been a while since there was a situation.
Philosophical. Ha ha ha. No, come on. Not just anyone who fought 8 rounds, man.
You can already notice that Whindersson started off pretty insecure.
Right? But who wouldn't start off insecure with Popó on the other side, man? In the ring, I would be insecure. Dida, man. Maybe Dida wouldn't feel insecure because he's another really experienced guy, but he's also never faced such an experienced athlete in boxing, you know? Dida is a guy who, man, was one of the greatest kickboxing fighters in the world, but on the other side is Popó, right? Dida would be facing him in his own sport. And Popó would be facing him in his own sport. It wouldn't be kickboxing. If it were kickboxing, I would definitely bet on Dida, bro. Now, in boxing, I believe Popó does have the advantage. It would be much closer. It would be a more even fight because Dida is even bigger than Popó, right, man? Dida is a really strong guy, man, who must be weighing around 85 kilos easily these days. And he never stopped, right? Dida never stopped training, man. He's a guy who's an example for the team of athletes he has, who's always training, always sparring with the guys. But look, guys, look at how we see Popó. He's a guy who's a natural counterpuncher. He's someone who really looks to land shots as his opponent comes in. And he, man, kept playing that little game there with Whindersson. With his right hand, you can clearly see that he takes something off the punch, right? He's not trying to knock Whindersson out. The jab isn't a knockout punch since it lacks full body weight, but it gradually wears you down. Check it out. And Popó keeps landing and building up just with the jab. When he throws the right hand, he avoids aiming for the head and coming back with a hook. So, he gave up his firepower, you know? Popó's right hand is really strong, guys. Whindersson keeps closing the distance. And Popó gives up on that game there, right? In close range, which is his game. But look, Whindersson lands with those little hands, man. Do you think he couldn't get the knockout or he just didn't manage to? No, he didn't want to knock out Whindersson, man. If he wanted to, if he really wanted to, he would have knocked him out. He would have knocked him out in the first round. I'm sure of that. Popó is a gentleman, man. He knows there's an influencer on the other side and he's making an effort. So, it's not an achievement for him to knock out Whindersson. What really mattered was a well-executed fight, a carefully constructed fight, where he allowed Whindersson to fight several rounds. He came out pretty beaten up. He really wanted to take Popó's punches, even though most were just jabs. He didn't use the right hand to finish. If he had, it would have been a knockout. He wasn't completely careless, because on the other side, he has an opponent with a certain level of skill. But man, look, check it out. He's not an athlete with real boxing experience. He's just throwing punches, moving away. It looks like he's gasping for air, you know? Whindersson really deserves congratulations. He went to war with Popó. See, to the body, Popó hits harder, guys. The boxer tries to work the body to wear out the opponent's stamina, and also to make the opponent drop their guard and land stronger punches to the head, right? That's not the case with Popó. Popó already has the ability. Whindersson's head is more exposed, right? So this uppercut, for example. Look at Popó there, man. He has fighting moves that can take the opponent's head off, you know? And then in this fight, he gave up those harder shots to the head. Okay, you can clearly see that he spared Whindersson from bigger brain injuries. Yeah, no, this move where he brings his head closer, he's reducing Whindersson's punching power. You get it? Yeah, when he dodges closer to his opponent, the opponent hits weaker. If he stays farther away, the opponent hits harder. So, when we go for these dodges, right, these slips, we have to get in closer to reduce the power of the opponent's hook. He has to hit, but he'll hit weaker. When he throws from a little farther away, at the ideal distance for the hook, it lands harder. So that's how you take the power out of those hook punches, right? Man, Popó did elite sparring, man. And do you guys still have any doubts about what's going to happen next? I have no doubt that Popó will come in with the same intention. 8 rounds of 2 minutes without knocking out Whindersson, man. I don't believe he'll bring the world champion Popó into the ring. I think he'll bring a guy more focused on putting on a great fight and underestimating Whindersson's progress too, right? Man, my brother, my brother, my brother, my brother, my brother. Whindersson was being born because of Popó. Yeah, man, we're talking about the world champion, dude. 4-time world champion, man, not just any human being. Dude, and Popó is part of a small group in the world who are a different breed, man. Man, Whindersson can train a lot. He won't reach Popó's level, man. Popó is a different kind of guy, man. Only those who trained with him, who follow his career. No, it's different, man. He's different. In boxing, just to become a professional fighter, you're already different. For you to reach the level of world champion, bro, you're like SWAT in the police force, man. You're the cream of the crop in your sport, you know? Very technical, really good, you know? He evolved a lot. Whindersson would be an average amateur athlete, man. And within amateur sports, only the cream of the crop become professionals, man. Look, you see, look. These are moves where we can still see some immaturity as a fighter, you know? Stiff shoulders still doesn't have the same game as, you know, the guys who really know the noble art, you know? So he's still a bit away, man, from reaching the level of athletes like that, you know? Anderson Whindersson is a guy who's dedicating himself, but man, how many amateur fights did Popó have before turning pro? And as a professional, how many did he have before becoming a world champion? You know, do you realize how many people have supported him? Popó is from the Bahia school. He's from Bahia. Then he went to Ulisses Pereira, who is, in my opinion, the greatest boxing coach in Brazil. The guy who was part of an entire history, you know, in boxing, my brother. The guy is special. Popó is special. You know that 1 in a million guy? We know that Popó is light years ahead of Whindersson, right? But do you think he really improved there, you know? Watching Whindersson? Man, I'll tell you, it doesn't seem like he improved that much. To me, he's still at that same level, you know, an average amateur who wants to have a tougher fight with Popó, but he doesn't really know the ways of the fight yet, you know? Every move Whindersson makes will always be preceded by a move from Popó, with much more. Popó controls the ring there, man, like Whindersson, you know? Man, a straight punch, a well-placed punch, could it knock Whindersson out? It could, you know? They're both men. 99 for Popó, 1 for Whindersson, but man, I think it would be easier to win the lottery. I think every man who trains for a fight and wants to fight should fight, should get in the ring. I don't see any problem with that. The problem I see with Bam Bam is that he fought against Popó and talked a lot. He really hyped up the fight, got there and didn't throw a punch, Didn't throw a punch. A guy who's 1.90 meters tall against a guy who's 1.65 meters didn't even try to land a punch on Popó. On the contrary, he turned his face away, sat down, and then started singing for everyone. At least I went up there and made some money, I think that's wrong. They're giving him attention again. I hope he actually fights Davi Brito. Fight music brings the spotlight to our sport. A contact sport, a combat sport. And we reach a wider audience. When you break through the bubble, the professional world wins, man, The professional world wins. What I always say is that there also needs to be that opportunity with professional fighters. Fighters who want it, who live off of it. Bam Bam Bam, Davi Brito, Whindersson Nunes. They don't make a living from the sport. If we focus the spotlight only on them, what does the sport gain? We know that most of the ticket sales are to see those guys fight, but come on, put the professional guys in there too, There was the fight between Lucas Pereira and Yamaguchi Falcão. Not much was said about that fight. We talked about it on our channel, but not much. Then you saw the mainstream media talk about that fight, and man, those guys, it was round after round, but they were really interesting rounds to analyze. Lucas Pereira showed an incredible fighting spirit, man. For me, there's no doubt, Popó is going to be the big champion of this fight music number 8, not 8. I don't see any possibility of Whindersson getting a win in this fight. I think it's going to be a fight very similar to the first one. So that's it, guys. We also went to an influencer event over in Dubai, right? Where Alex and I went, and guys, the card was really awesome. We said that the level of the kickboxing card was on par with Glory, top in the world. But the main card was the influencer card. But there was still this focus on keeping the professionals close, wanting to benefit from that media as well, So guys, fight music is the same deal. There should be an influencer card and it's going to break through. It's going to get more visibility with the general public, but it brings this big audience to professional fights. Because if it stays only with influencers, I think the fight world doesn't benefit. And influencers can smoke, drink, right? Yeah, influencers can drink, they can smoke. Fighters can also drink, can smoke, man. Man, do whatever you want to. Dude, do whatever you want to. Guys, leave in the comments who you think will win their fights. I'm betting, I'm rooting for Davi Brito. That's it, guys. Against Bam Bam, I'll fight. Now I want to know from you guys, in the rematch between Popó and Whindersson Nunes, do you think Whindersson will come in more prepared? Is Popó still far ahead on another level? Comment who you think wins. If you enjoyed the analysis, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks, everyone. No, man, look, I don't really follow people's lives on the internet, I see that there are a lot of people who don't like him because he has some personal situations that make him a bit controversial. But technically speaking, I see Biel as superior.